If you want your cutting dies to do something extra special, check these out from Elizabeth Crafts. You're going to love what they can do.
They can make beautiful 3D shaped flowers.
Yes, they're gorgeous. And we're going to show you how.
Yes.
Come play with us. Well, here they are. We have roses and we have hydrangeas.
And there are 13 cutting dies in just the roses alone. You're getting the stem, you're getting leaves, and you're getting the petals to create these beautiful 3D roses.
And in the hydrangea, it looks like 5, but right here there's another 20 to do a whole bunch of those little
so
leaves.
You can do them all at once in a nice little sheet, which is wonderful.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Els.
And again, you have the stem, you have leaves, and then you have all those little pieces, and wait till you see what that looks like.
Okay, and I have to tell you, I saw Els, Elizabeth from Elizabeth Crafts on a UK television show using these, and I thought they were so wonderful that we needed to have them. So we're going to start with the rose, and look at this. It is really 3D.
It is. It's beautiful, and it's done with shaping tools and just molding those little petals one at a time. And here are the tools.
Those are the tools, and we've had these tools for a long time. With the D's cutting dies, those work really well.
And I'm going to grab that.
Oh, you're going to grab those?
Okay.
So get us started.
All right. So here are some of the shapes that you're going to see. I have some already shaped, and I have some the die cuts actually. So the stem, the leaves, we've got the petals, and there are lots of different shapes in petals. You're going to see a few that are double, and those are the ones you're going to use first, and then you're going to see singular ones. But I have to point out, you're also going to see a couple. Let's get close on this one because it's got a bump on one side, and that's for a bud. And you get a couple of those, a couple of shapes. You use those specifically for making buds.
So bumps for buds.
Bumps for buds.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now we're going to back out and show you. With the tools, I'm going to be using these tweezers, which is nice, these reverse tweezers. And you've got all of these different styluses. I think I'm going to start with kind of that middle one, and then maybe the one on this end as well. So a couple of different tools we're using. And then I have a mouse pad that I use. You can also use craft foam, something like that. You want something kind of squishy that you can set those pieces on. So I've got that piece, which we're starting with the double petal. And oh, wrong, I'm going to start with the stem.
You are?
I am. I'm going to start with that stem, so let me pull that in. But all of these pieces are going to end up on your mat for using this. And I'm going to turn this over because one of the first things that I've seen done with this that work really nicely, I'll take one of these and I'm just going to sort of crease right in the center. So this goes right down the center, and it makes a nice crease in it like so. And that way when you turn it over, you can just sort of mold it a little bit. You can sort of mold it a little bit to get some shape on it, just like so.
And you're just looking for a little dimension.
Just a little bit of dimension. And then you're going to glue it on your paper, and that's going to sit up for a little bit. The next thing you can do is you can go back to your leaves, and you can use your tweezers to, you can make a crease, and this is what, here we go.
So you're just doing that center vein?
Right, down the center vein like that. And then you make veins this way, and you can do it on the opposite way as well. And this is just something that you can see. You're going to be able to see these veins, the lines in there. It just kind of looks nice that way. And then you can take your tweezers and you can bend them one way or the other. You can either bend them this way, get a little lift that way, or you can bend them the other way. I kind of like it this way. That way when you set it down on your paper with your stem, you're going to be able to set it just like so. It has a little bit of dimension there, a little lift.
Let me just bring that part of the card in just so you can see. So this is with the bump on the top, and there's with the bump going in. So both ways can work well on the one stem. Okay,
right.
So now to the flower?
Now with the flowers. Now there's two things. You want it to be cup shaped this way, but then you want the top edge to roll out. So let me start by cupping it this way,
now
and I can just use
one.
that. I do. I'm using the large one, and you can just sort of bring it down on the sides like that. I'm just sort of rolling it around just right up to the edge, but not all the way to the edge.
And it doesn't take much time.
It doesn't.
I mean, it's just a moment to do this. Now, the whole process does take a few minutes, so you kind of need to be prepared for that.
Right. Now, there's two ways you can roll this top edge back. You can either turn it over like that, use the smaller ball, and start pushing this way like that. And that'll help to mold that back, so that now you have an actual cup shape one way, and then you have the edge going back. Or you can grab those reverse tweezers and just grab onto that, sort of pinch and pull it back like that. So two different ways of doing that. But if you can imagine a rose, I mean, the petals on the end, they just start to sort of roll back like that. So once you have those rolled back, and you'll do that for both sides, then you're going to glue that in place on your cardstock. So right now I'm just going to work on it separately, but I would go ahead and glue that in place with the Specialist acrylic glue. I like this best because it's really simple to get the glue on there quickly, and then just
and it really holds well.
Yeah, it holds well, and you can put it right where you want it. So that's the start of your rose. The next piece is going to be another double piece.
This is a smaller one, or the same?
This is a little bit smaller, and you're just going to sort of cross it across like this. And I've got my glue, which is sort of bubbling out here. I just want a little bit of that.
So you did the same thing with this piece?
I did the same thing. I went ahead and shaped it. And
and you
did
crossed
those
them.
edges.
Okay.
I'm going to cross them like that, and you're just going to start layering. And that's what I do with all of these pieces, is just start layering them one at a time. Each one of them is has got those cup shapes. I think I'm gonna, this one is kind of, it feels to me like this is the last one. I think I'm gonna skip to some of the other single petals. And you know, you can do as many of these as you want. You can go ahead and die cut them and just kind of keep placing them. I've got glue there already, so I'll just, and if you want to do more petals than what you see here, you can die cut more petals. You can really make it full that way.
So you're just building them up.
You're just building them up just like that. And okay, we want to get to the center, which is using these, with the bump, you have buds and centers. So a bud is sort of like that rolled up piece. You can use that for the center of your flower as well. And you want to take this, you want to grab one side. Let's see, I'll grab this side.
You're grabbing the bump.
Right, I'm grabbing on the bump, and then I start rolling that in, just like so. Make sure I get a good hold of it and start rolling that in, just like that. You can wrap it around like that, and I want that to end, I want that to be sort of centered over that little stem there. So rolling, and I'm going to wrap it around there, and then I do the same thing to the other side. I just sort of keep rolling it around, and you can sort of adjust it, make sure that that little roll is right in the center, and then you can grab the other side and sort of bend it back just a little bit, so it's a bud that's now opening up just a tiny bit, like so. And then you can glue that right into the center. So if you add lots more flowers, they'll, as you add them, or petals, they're going to stand up a little bit more, and you can adjust these. But I want to look at the rose on the card, because when there are more petals in there, then when you set this in there, it really does sort of sit upright.
Okay, so here we go with the finished one. So these are standing up a bit more than what you had started doing.
Because there are more petals. You just keep adding those petals. You make it just as thick as you want it. It is a beautiful look.
And you can actually make this, if you have it this tight, it's going to be narrower. If you have it more open, it can be a little bit larger.
Right. So and then play with them, sort of adjust those petals.
And here's the bud right here also, so you can see that.
And go ahead and wrap those little leaves right around the edges.
Very, very pretty.
It is pretty.
Okay.
And I love the border dazzles along with that. It's just a nice, just a little extra shine for that just beautiful sort of muted flower.
And it looks like this was out of the pastel cardstock, so that's going to work nicely. Okay, so on a card we have it. Well, how about to decorate a chipboard letter or number in this case.
So this is so cute. It's a big number 1. Now that's the chipboard letter that's been covered with paper.
Must be the 11-inch one.
Okay, and it's and also using the stencil with ink. So this is kind of a fun way. So number 1, it says first birthday, and you can get that on the More Greetings stencil.
Oh, okay.
There we go. So birthday wishes right on there. They're done with ink right through the stencil onto the paper. So first birthday, and with the addition of these cute little embellishments at the bottom.
Okay, so we're using the Brad Buddies. This is the girl one, so you can see. And then the flowers, let's go down here and get close.
So making those flowers out of snow suede, that's the white suede, so it really does have kind of a nice texture. Lots of those little petals used. And then the edges were covered with a little bit of the Nouveau crystal glitter.
Right. So you're going to get
drops,
some shine in there as well as the texture.
And you can just put a little of that on the edge. Use your finger and just sort of smooth it around, and it just makes a beautiful edge on there.
Looks like the leaves were also out of suede. I can pet them.
Right. And you can curl those leaves with a stylus, or you can fold them with the tweezers. Just grab onto them and fold them.
Very fun. Whether you want to put it on here or just giving you ideas of what else can be done. So that's just quite lovely.
A thought I had when I looked at these flowers, that I thought, can you imagine those in a shadow box? So if you have a shadow box with some like nice heirloom pictures or something, and some of these paper flowers down in the corner, and they're not going to get dusty because they're in the nice shadow box with the glass and everything. I think that's a cool idea.
It's gorgeous. Okay, so roses, got those done. Now we're going to move to the hydrangeas. And the hydrangeas, well, let me show you this. So we're going to do some slightly different techniques, but you can see this. Now we did add, put this in a jar and added it with the well-preserved stamps, so you can see the jar is there.
Right, so really simple to do. You're just going to stamp the jar onto that pattern paper, and I love using the pattern papers to also die cut those tiny little flowers. And like I said, you do that with just one piece at a time. Will give you 20 of those. So cut out lots and lots of those tiny little flowers. They end up looking like this, just these, and these are done out of holographic paper, but still those are the pretty little flowers, and then you just start gluing them on one at a time.
Now, was there shaping done with those?
There was shaping done. Let's see, I don't know if I have a flat one. Here we go. Okay, so I've got a flat one of these. I've got my little pad out here, and for this one I'm going to start with a small ball, and real simple. Okay, so there's a lot of them. You know, you have to do a lot.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is that there are finer tips. However, you always seem to use one that's a little bit larger than what I would have instinctively gone for, and that's good to note.
The reason is, if I went with something really tiny like this, I would push, and it would just sort of, I'm afraid that it's just going to make a hole through some of them. You have to be, I like
you want that rounded.
Just a little bit bigger, and then all you have to do is a little rounding. You know how it just picks up the little petals just like that.
So it's just a moment.
Right, and that's it. So you do that through all those little flowers, and it'll go quickly.
Okay, so then it's a matter of just gluing them down, and we will get in a little closer. I know we don't want to do this. We don't want to make you seasick, but in this case we do need to get a bit closer.
And we are using that acrylic glue because it's got that fine tip on there, which is perfect for putting those in place, but also adding beads. And those have been done with the 28 Lilac Lane. There are buttons and beads and sequins in there.
Yeah, this is the Pretty Princess collection, and that's where all of those little pink, and that's just really pretty in there.
Isn't it beautiful? So, but I like the idea of just, now these were just placed directly onto the paper, and you've got the stems behind, so go ahead and ink the stems a little bit, gives you a little bit of dimension on there.
Going into the vase.
Without having to shape those stems, so those are just sitting there, but the leaves have definitely been shaped. And there's, like I said, there's always like a couple of different ways of doing each of these, and with those leaves, you can put that crease down the center like we showed you. I used the tweezers and I went straight down the center. Or you can just grab one of the ball styluses and just start shaping it like that.
Again, grab a larger one
right?
than you would think.
Well, I don't know. I always think of the large one. I don't want to push too small with those smaller ones, but that makes a nice cupped shape, kind of like a leaf boat on the water. So you've got that beautiful shape.
And in this case, you can see that these were just inked on the edges, so really pretty. And that sparkle you're seeing, those dewdrops, those are the sequins that are in that container of beads and so forth. So really gorgeous. Well, we have another idea for using the hydrangea, and look at this. This is our oval paper mache box.
And we just saw these on a recent webisode. Right. So another way to use these, covering the box with paper, but then adding those gorgeous flowers on top.
And these are really mounded. So the first ones were really flat. Now these are kind of cup shape, and there's a technique for doing that. Look at those, really pretty.
Aren't they beautiful?
Well, John's up close.
But I really love, if you, as you're looking at those, you can see this sparkle, red hearts, holographic paper, and pattern paper. So a mix of those used on those flowers. That's a great idea, so you can get kind of a two-tone on there. So I have a circle here, and Debbie used the Easy Circles template. They're really simple to cut out circles.
Looks like this.
Looks like that, very simple. So a 2-inch circle was cut out because she wanted a really big flower. And you're going to take that, turn it upside down, so now you're seeing the opposite side of that. And I take the biggest stylus possible, and this is kind of fun. You're going to do this like 2, maybe 3 times for this. Start in the center and just start going in a circle, and as I go, it's pressing, it's molding, it's shaping that paper, and I go in a spiral all the way out, and you can see it wrinkling at the edge, but it really does get out to the edge and flatten it out.
It's cupping, isn't it?
It is, it's cupping. So I did that once, and you can go out on the edge and do it a little bit more and really flatten the edge. But I'm gonna do it at least 1 more time, if not 2, because the more I do it, the more cup shaped it gets. It just keeps molding that paper and turning it into this nice dome shape. Okay, now I'm out on the edge, and I am flattening the edge and making sure that I get all of the edges nice and flat. So now when I turn it over, it's a nice domed shape. You can see that sort of cupped. And then I took the Specialist acrylic glue and I put it only on the edge of that paper, and then I turned it over and glued it to white cardstock or scrap paper. After you do all of your addition of the flowers on here, you're going to cut this out when you're all done. But here's this nice cup shape, so you see it's sort of like a little pillow.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because it's not, you know, like clear up like this. That's what the flowers do as you add them. So that's going to give you the dimension, and like you said, I love that flash of color in it with the holographic paper.
It's so beautiful. When you do that, you're just going to start around the edges. That was Debbie's hint, is to just
placing the flowers.
Yeah, add glue just a little bit of time. I'm just going to start around the edges, and that's where I like having these tweezers, because I can just pick up these flowers one at a time. Oh, well, there we go. Get it turned over. And just start placing them just like so. So one at a time, placing those flowers, and make sure that every once in a while you're going to add the little sparkly ones, and it looks very pretty.
So you just that all build them up. Right, okay, so one last look. So hydrangeas can be a little flatter if you like, or you can mound them. In any case, they're just beautiful. It's my favorite flower.
They are beautiful. And then having fun decorating other alternate pieces or cards, or use them in shadow boxes. But they're just really fun to play with.
So all of this from Elizabeth Crafts, and we'll be doing some more sculpting with her cutting dies in future webisodes. And thank you, Els. I was so glad to see you and share this.
Okay.